On a small research base on the moon, Dr. Mia Chen worked tirelessly. The base hummed with the sound of machines and the soft glow of screens. Mia was a brilliant scientist, respected for her sharp mind and innovative ideas. She had dedicated her life to understanding the universe, but today, the weight of the world felt heavier than ever. The alien empire, known as the Zarok, was advancing across human colonies. Their powerful ships and advanced technology had already destroyed 2 colonies, leaving countless lives shattered. Humanity was on the brink of extinction. Mia's team was small but determined. They had been researching ways to defend Earth against the Zarok. Mia believed that understanding the laws of probability could give them the edge they desperately needed. She spent long hours in the lab, poring over complex equations and simulations, hoping to find a breakthrough. One evening, as the moon's surface glowed under a blanket of stars, Mia had a sudden insight. What if they could not just predict probabilities but manipulate them? The thought sent a thrill through her. She quickly began running simulations, testing her ideas. Days turned into nights and Mia barely noticed. She was consumed by her work. After a week of sleepless nights, Mia gathered her team for a meeting. "I believe we can weaponize probability," she announced, her voice steady but filled with excitement. The room fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. "What do you mean?" asked Sam, one of her colleagues, furrowing his brow. "How can we change probability?" Mia explained her theory. "Every event has a certain chance of occurring. What if we could alter those chances in our favor? For example, if we could increase the likelihood of a ship malfunctioning or a projectile missing its target, we could turn the tide of battle." The team listened intently, their eyes wide with a mix of hope and skepticism. "It sounds risky, Sarah," another team member said cautiously. "What if it backfires?" Mia nodded, understanding their concerns. "I know it sounds ambitious, but we need to take risks. The Zarok won't stop until they conquer us. This is our only chance." With a mix of excitement and anxiety, the team agreed to proceed. They began to build a prototype device capable of manipulating probabilities on a small scale. They worked day and night, fueled by caffeine and adrenaline. Mia led the project with determination, pushing her team to their limits. As the prototype neared completion, tensions rose outside the research base. The news reported more attacks from the Zarok. People were growing increasingly fearful. Mia knew they had to act quickly. Their device needed to work before it was too late. Finally, the day arrived. The team gathered in the lab, anticipation buzzing in the air. Mia took a deep breath and activated the prototype. The machine whirred to life, lights flashing in vibrant colors. "Let's test it," she said, her heart racing. They conducted a series of small-scale tests, manipulating the probabilities of objects falling, doors closing, and lights flickering. Each experiment yielded astounding results. Objects that should have fallen straight to the ground floated momentarily, while doors that should have opened refused to budge. The team cheered, their excitement palpable. Mia's mind raced with possibilities. If they could replicate these results on a larger scale, they might be able to turn the tide against the Zarok. But she also knew the risks involved. With great power came great responsibility. As the tests continued, Mia felt a mix of hope and dread. They had the potential to change the course of history, but they were also walking a dangerous path. Would they be able to control the probabilities? Would their weapon work when it mattered most? In the depths of her heart, Mia held on to a sliver of hope. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. She was determined to succeed no matter the cost. The universe was watching, and they were ready to fight back. The tension on the moon base was palpable as Mia Chen and her team prepared for what could be the most important moment of their lives. News of the Zarok's invasion spread like wildfire, with the alien empire launching their forces toward Earth. Each report brought grim updates about the destruction left in their wake. Cities were falling and humanity's hope was dwindling. The pressure mounted as they rushed to complete their probability weapon before it was too late. On the eve of their first real battle, Mia gathered her team in the command center. The walls were lined with screens showing images of Zarok ships hovering in space. The alien fleet was massive, dark, and intimidating. Mia could feel her heart racing. "We have one chance," she said, her voice steady but urgent. "We need to test our device in a live situation." The team exchanged nervous glances. "But what if it fails?" Sam asked, his brows knitted with concern. "We could lose everything." Mia nodded. I understand the risks, but if we don't act now, we might lose everything anyway. We need to show the Zarok that humans are not easy prey. With determination, they agreed to move forward. They would deploy the probability weapon during the next battle. The team spent the night preparing, calibrating their device to ensure it could be used effectively. Mia felt the weight of their mission pressing down on her. The responsibility was immense, but she couldn't let fear take hold. As dawn broke, the sound of alarms filled the air. The Zarok fleet was approaching, and the time had come. The team rushed to their battle stations, adrenaline pumping through their veins. The humans had set up a defense perimeter around one of the last standing colonies, ready to protect their home. Mia stood at the command console, her hands trembling slightly. "Remember, we can change the probabilities in our favor. Focus on the key targets," she instructed her team. They all nodded, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. The first Zarok ships entered their range, and the battle began. Blasts of energy flew through space as human ships engaged the alien forces. It was chaos. The sky lit up with explosions, and the sounds of battle filled the air. Mia's heart raced as she monitored the situation, her team working frantically beside her. "Deploy the device!" Mia shouted, her voice cutting through the noise. Sam activated the probability weapon, and the machine hummed to life. A surge of energy filled the command center, and Mia felt a rush of hope. As the device activated, the team focused on their target, an enormous Zarok battleship that was leading the charge. Mia could hardly believe what happened next. In an instant, the odds began to shift. The Zarok ship suddenly veered off course, colliding with another vessel in a catastrophic explosion. The humans watched in awe as chaos erupted in the alien ranks. "Did you see that?" Sarah yelled, her eyes wide with disbelief. It worked, but the fight was far from over. As the battle continued, Mia and her team directed the device towards various targets. Zarok ships malfunctioned, their weapons misfiring or shutting down completely. Confusion spread among the alien forces, and for the first time, the humans felt a glimmer of hope. However, the Zarok were not easily defeated. They began to adapt, regrouping and strategizing against the unexpected chaos. Mia felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the aliens were not just mindless attackers, they were intelligent and resourceful. The tide of battle began to shift again as the Zarok launched a counteroffensive. Several human ships were damaged, and the cries of distress echoed in the command center. "We need to intensify the probability manipulations," Mia shouted. "We can't let them regain control." With renewed urgency, the team recalibrated the device, pushing it to its limits. They focused on a group of advancing Zarok ships, willing the odds to shift in their favor once more. As the device surged with power, the results were dramatic. Ships malfunctioned, and crew members were thrown into disarray. The aliens, once confident in their victory, were now fighting against impossible odds. In the chaos of battle, the humans pressed their advantage. The Zarok fleet began to retreat, their ships damaged and morale shattered. The humans cheered as they witnessed the alien forces breaking apart, the sound of victory echoing in their hearts. As the last of the Zarok ships fled, Mia stood in disbelief, her heart racing with a mixture of triumph and fear. They had won this battle, but she knew the war was far from over. The weaponized probability had given them a chance, but at what cost? Would the Zarok retaliate with even more fury? For now, humanity had a fighting chance, and Mia was determined to prepare for whatever came next. The news of the humans' unexpected victory spread like wildfire throughout the galaxy. Back on Earth, people celebrated as they learned about the decisive battle against the Zarok. Mia-Chen and her team at the moon base were hailed as heroes. Their innovative use of the probability weapon had turned the tide in humanity's favor. But amid the cheers and celebrations, Mia felt a nagging worry. This victory was just one battle in a much larger war. In the following days, Mia and her team worked tirelessly to analyze the results of their first strike. They were eager to understand how the probability weapon had affected the Zarok and what they could do to improve its performance. But news from the front lines was not all positive. Reports indicated that the Zarok were regrouping and preparing for a counter-offensive. One afternoon, as Mia sat in the command center studying the data, Sam approached her with a concerned expression. "Mia, we need to talk about the Zarok's response. They've lost a lot, but they won't back down easily. We should prepare for their next move." Mia nodded, her mind racing. "I know. We've only just begun to scratch the surface. They will adapt. We have to be ready for whatever they throw at us next. The tension in the base was thick. Every member of the team could feel the weight of their recent victory, but also the looming threat of the alien empire. Mia decided it was time to test their weapon again, not just in simulations but in real combat. We need to strike first, she said, rallying her team. If we can disrupt their plans before they fully regroup, we can keep the momentum on our side. With the team's determination, they began planning their next mission. They would target a key supply line that the Zarok were using to reinforce their troops. If they could cripple this supply route, it would give humanity a crucial advantage. Days passed as the team prepared. They modified the probability weapon, making it more powerful and efficient. They knew that this time, they would have to act quickly and decisively. Finally, the day of the mission arrived. As their fleet approached the target, Mia felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The vast emptiness of space surrounded them, but she could see the glimmer of the Zarok supply ships in the distance. Everyone, remember our training. We need to work together and keep our focus, she reminded them, her voice steady. The battle began, and the humans launched their attack. As they moved in, Mia activated the probability weapon once more. The machine hummed with energy, and she directed its power towards the enemy ships. Almost immediately, the results were astonishing. Zarok ships began to malfunction. Cargo containers exploded unexpectedly, causing chaos among their ranks. The aliens were confused, unable to comprehend what was happening. Mia watched as the tides of battle shifted once again, a smile creeping onto her face. "Keep it going! Focus on their main ship!" she shouted, pointing at a massive Zarok vessel that seemed to be coordinating the attack. With each surge of energy from the probability weapon, the odds shifted further in humanity's favor. But just as the humans felt they were gaining the upper hand, an alarm blared throughout the command center. "Zarok reinforcements are approaching!" Sarah cried, her fingers flying across the controls. Mia's heart sank. They were not prepared for a full-scale counterattack. The probability weapon was powerful, but it had its limits. "We need to withdraw!" she shouted. "We can't risk getting surrounded!" But as they began to retreat, a terrifying sight emerged. The newly arrived Zarok ships were different. They appeared to have adapted to the chaos caused by the probability weapon. Their maneuvers were coordinated, and they seemed to anticipate the humans' every move. "Sam, adjust the weapon! We need to change our strategy!" Mia ordered, panic creeping into her voice. The Zarok were no longer the disorganized force they had been. They were regrouping and coming back stronger. As the humans fought to hold their ground, the tide of battle began to turn once more. The Zarok, empowered by their reinforcements, pressed forward, using their advanced technology to counteract the effects of the probability weapon. Mia watched in horror as the balance shifted. The realization hit Mia hard. The Zarok were intelligent, and they would not simply accept defeat. They would learn from their mistakes. With each passing moment, the battle grew more intense, and Mia's hope began to fade. "Stay focused! We can't give up!" she urged her team, even as the enemy pressed forward. They had come so far, but now they faced a formidable challenge. The victory they had once celebrated felt increasingly distant, overshadowed by the looming threat of a relentless enemy. In that moment of chaos, Mia knew they had to regroup and rethink their strategy. They could not rely solely on the probability weapon. They needed to outsmart the Zarok in other ways. With determination ignited in her heart, Mia resolved to find a new path forward, one that would ensure humanity's survival against the odds. The aftermath of the battle weighed heavily on the moon base. Mia Chen sat in the command center surrounded by her team, but the atmosphere was far from celebratory. After their initial victory, the situation had turned dire. The Zarok had adapted quickly, and their forces were now relentless. Reports of casualties and losses flooded in, and with each update, the sense of desperation grew. Mia stared at the screens, her heart pounding. They had lost so many ships and so many brave souls. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her. "We need to come up with a new plan," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "We can't keep relying on the probability weapon alone. The Zarok have learned how to counter it." Sarah, visibly shaken, replied, "But what else can we do? We're running out of time. They're coming for Earth next, and we can't stop them." The reality of their situation was bleak. Mia knew that every day they delayed would cost them dearly. The team was exhausted, both mentally and physically, but they had to keep pushing forward. "We need to think outside the box," Mia urged. "Let's brainstorm ideas. We can't let despair take over." They gathered around the table, brainstorming furiously. Ideas flew back and forth, but nothing felt right. Every suggestion was met with skepticism. It was clear that the team was struggling to stay hopeful. Then Sam spoke up, a spark of determination in his eyes. "What if we use the probability weapon in a different way? Instead of focusing on their ships, what if we targeted their systems and communications?" Mia considered this. "You mean disrupt their ability to coordinate? It could create confusion and delay their attacks." "Exactly. If we can throw them off their game, we might have a chance," Sam said, enthusiasm creeping into his voice. The team felt a flicker of hope as they began to build on this idea. They would reprogram the probability weapon to interfere with the Xerox communication systems. If they could disrupt their coordination, it would buy them time and create opportunities for the humans to strike back. They worked tirelessly, adjusting the device for its new purpose. Each passing hour felt like a race against time, the urgency palpable in the air. As they labored, Mia kept her focus on the end goal, protecting Earth and saving as many lives as possible. When the device was ready, Mia gathered the team for one last briefing before their mission. "This is our chance to turn the tide once again," she said, looking each member in the eye. "We may be outnumbered, but we can't let that discourage us. We have the intelligence and the will to fight back. We've done it before and we can do it again." With renewed determination, they launched their next operation. The fleet set out toward a key Xerox stronghold, where they suspected the aliens were coordinating their attacks. Mia felt a mix of excitement and dread as they approached the target. This time, the stakes felt even higher. As they closed in, Mia activated the probability weapon, directing its power towards the enemy communication systems. The machine whirred to life, sending waves of energy towards the Xerox ships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then chaos erupted. Xerox ships began to malfunction, their communication lines going dark. The humans watched in awe as the enemy struggled to regain control. Mia felt a surge of hope. "It's working! Keep pushing!" But just as the tide seemed to turn, a warning alarm blared. "Xerox reinforcements detected!" Sarah shouted, panic rising in her voice. Mia's heart sank. The Xerox were not just defending, they were launching a counteroffensive. The screen displayed a fleet of alien ships emerging from a nearby sector. "We need to hold our ground. Focus on the primary target," Mia ordered, fighting to maintain her composure. The battle intensified as the newly arrived Xerox ships engaged the humans. The humans fought bravely, but the odds were stacked against them. The probability weapon was disrupting the enemy communications, but the sheer number of alien ships was overwhelming. One by one, human ships began to fall. Mia could see her team's faces turn pale with fear. The cries of distress filled the command center, and she felt a deep pit in her stomach. "Hold on! We can't give up!" she shouted, desperation creeping into her voice. But the reality was harsh. The Xerox were relentless, their ships advancing with cold precision. As they continued to fight, Mia's mind raced. They needed a new plan, a desperate move that could shift the battle in their favor. Suddenly, an idea struck her. A risky, untested strategy that could either save them or lead to disaster. "Sam, can we use the probability weapon to create a massive feedback loop? It might overload their systems and buy us enough time to escape," she proposed, her heart pounding. "It's dangerous," Sam warned. "We don't know how it will affect our systems." "We don't have a choice," Mia replied, urgency fueling her words. "If we stay here, we'll be destroyed. We need to try." With no time to waste, they quickly reprogrammed the device for the final time. As they set it up, Mia felt a wave of fear wash over her. This was their last chance, and failure was not an option. As they activated the device, the command center filled with a blinding light. The energy surged, sending waves of probability rippling through space. Mia held her breath, praying for a miracle as the chaos of battle raged on around them. In that moment of desperation, she realized they were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their very existence. The blinding light from the probability weapon enveloped the command center, illuminating the faces of Mia and her team. As the energy surged through the ship, they felt an intense rush of hope mingled with fear. This was their last chance to turn the tide against the Xerox. Would it work? or would it spell disaster for them all? As the device activated, a wave of probability rippled through the enemy fleet. The effect was instantaneous. Zarok ships began to spin out of control, their systems overloaded by the feedback loop. Communication lines shattered, causing chaos among their ranks. The humans watched in awe as the once coordinated alien forces devolved into confusion. "It's working!" Sarah shouted, her voice filled with disbelief. "Look at them! They can't control their ships!" Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. The gamble they had taken was paying off. "Keep the pressure on! We can't let up now!" she commanded, her heart racing with renewed determination. The humans seized the moment, launching a full-scale attack on the disorganized Zarok fleet. Mia watched as their ships, once scattered and confused, began to regroup and strike back with newfound vigor. The tide of battle had shifted dramatically, and hope surged through the command center like a wave. But just as victory seemed within reach, a new threat emerged. A massive Zarok battleship, one of the largest Mia had ever seen, broke away from the chaos. Its weapons were powered up, and it bore down on the human fleet with a menacing presence. "Everyone, focus fire on that battleship!" Mia shouted. "We can't let it reach us." The humans directed their attacks toward the monstrous ship, their weapons lighting up the void of space. Explosions erupted as energy beams collided with the battleship's shields. But the alien ship was resilient, and its weapons began to fire back. "We need to disable its weapons," Mia urged her team. "Use the probability weapon to create more chaos." With urgency, they recalibrated the device one last time. The machine hummed with energy as Mia directed its power toward the battleship's weapon systems. The air in the command center crackled with tension as they waited for the outcome. In a dramatic turn, the feedback from the weapon struck true. The battleship's systems began to malfunction, its weapons firing erratically and missing their targets. The crew of the human ships cheered as the giant alien ship struggled to maintain control. "Now! Everyone, concentrate your fire!" Mia shouted, her heart pounding as they unleashed their volleys of energy. This was their chance. As the energy beams rained down on the battleship, explosions rocked the ship. The screen showed the damage as the once imposing vessel began to break apart. The crew cheered again, their spirits lifted by the sight of their enemy in disarray. But Mia felt a twinge of uncertainty. They had achieved a victory, but how would the Zarok respond? Would they retaliate with more ferocity? The thought hung heavy in the air as the humans continued their assault, pushing forward with determination. Finally, with one last powerful blast, the battleship erupted in a brilliant explosion. The crew of the human fleet erupted in cheers, the sound echoing throughout the command center. Mia felt tears of relief and joy prick at her eyes. They had done it. They had defeated one of the most powerful ships in the Zarok fleet. But even in her joy, a sense of caution remained. "We can't celebrate yet," she reminded her team, her voice steady. "We need to assess the situation and prepare for any further attacks." As they regrouped and surveyed the battlefield, it became clear that the tide had truly turned. The remaining Zarok ships were either retreating or in disarray. The humans had gained a significant advantage, but Mia knew they couldn't let their guard down. In the days that followed, the humans began to push back against the Zarok forces, reclaiming lost territory and gathering intelligence. The probability weapon had become a crucial tool in their fight, but Mia and her team knew they needed to remain vigilant. Mia spent countless hours reviewing data, looking for ways to improve their strategies and technology. With each victory, the humans grew more united. They formed alliances with other species who had also suffered under the Zarok's oppression. Together, they became a formidable coalition against their common enemy. As news of their successes spread throughout the galaxy, more allies joined their cause. Mia found herself at the forefront of this new alliance, leading efforts to coordinate their forces and share knowledge. The fight against the Zarok was far from over, but Mia felt a sense of hope. The odds were still daunting, but they had proven that humanity could rise to the challenge. They had faced despair, adapted, and emerged stronger. In the end, the victory against the Zarok was not just a triumph of technology, it was a testament to human spirit, resilience, and unity. As Mia looked out at the stars from the command center, she felt a sense of purpose wash over her. They were ready to fight for their future, ready to stand against any threat that dared to challenge humanity. And she knew that together, they would continue to defy the odds.